Hello everybody and welcome back to PGL Tavern Tales Spring Edition. My name is Nimsh and I'm here with Raven and Powder. So Powder, welcome back to the casting couch. How do you feel casting again?
I feel good. I just couldn't get enough of Raven sitting next to him. It's just so comfortable.
The camera even caught that then, Powder, so you didn't get away with that one.
Oh.
Oh man, you're in trouble now.
Yep.
Raven, how do you respond to this affection?
With the same back. Yeah. Me and Powder are good friends, so it's okay.
Some kind of bromance.
Exactly.
All right. Guys, the next match is going to be Freakeh versus Dzianydruid. And Powder, what can you tell us about Freakeh, your teammate?
He plays for the best team in the world, SK.
Okay.
He's a great player. I actually don't know exactly what he's bringing today, so it'll be a surprise for me too, but I'm looking for him to take a swift 3-0 victory.
All right. And then Raven, do you know anything about Dziany?
Not too much, to be honest. I mean, you probably know more than I do, being a Polish player. But yeah, I know he's performed pretty well so far. I think he did pretty okay in the Swiss as well. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to see. I don't think we saw him yesterday. Did we cast him yesterday?
No, I don't think so. I don't think we casted Dziany yesterday. He was. We had him in the backup stream, but actually the match took some time. So Dzianydruid is a great player from Poland. He's a Polish streamer as well, and he's playing for No Mercy. He qualified for Seed Story Cup before, so he's playing at Seed Story Cup. I think the previous one, not the last one, but the one after that, or before that even. But we actually talked to those players, and we have their thoughts on video. So let's see what I have to say.
Hi, my name is Jesper, also known as Freakeh, and I play for SK Gaming.
I am Dzianydruid. I'm from Poland, and I play for Team No Mercy.
My first day at this event, it feels right now really good, of course, because I made it through. I started off with 1-0, and I 3-0'd my opponent in like 10 minutes with turn 5 every game. So I had a good start, but then I lost 2 matches in a row, and I got really sad because I thought that I was going to lose and not make it once like another tournament. And so I just went out, took some fresh air, breathed, and came back and did my best, and I made it, so it feels good.
Strongest player here? For sure it's Thijs. He's European champion, so he's obviously, I think, the strongest opponent here. As well, Crane. I lost to him today, so I hope I will be able to take revenge tomorrow.
There's been some surprising decks at this event so far. I mean, Garas, for example, when he played Druid with double BGH and Kel'Thuzad. But other than that, it's been pretty much the same.
The most what attracted me was meeting all the players that I can face online. I play against them, and it was really great to be able to meet them.
All right, this is Dzianydruid, or you can call him Johnny-Druid. I think it's basically the same thing. Dziany means wealthy in Polish. So.
Okay.
But Johnny is okay as well. And Freakeh, there is one fact about Freakeh that not many people know. At the last Seed Story Cup, Freakeh bought a kebab for everyone else.
He did.
So that was
I remember.
Really nice gesture.
Yeah, it was.
Hope he buys us food.
You missed that one, right?
Yeah, I know. I need to get to these Seed Story Cups.
Absolutely.
But no, he might buy us all food here. With there's still time, so I think he probably has to win for that though. So fingers crossed.
that would be amazing actually, like Freakeh winning and then just buying food for everyone, sharing.
I can get behind that.
Okay, so who do you guys think has an edge overall?
Just seeing the lineup from Dzianydruid there, where the Shaman's included now, so you've got to presume that's going to be aggro Shaman, and once we see Freakeh's lineup, I think that's going to be really important because depending on how Freakeh's decided to build his lineup, Shaman's one of those ones that we didn't see too many of yesterday. I think there was 2 Shaman in the whole tournament yesterday. Here we go. So just glancing at it, it can perform pretty well versus Rogue, Druid, and potentially depend on what Warlock as well. So I think the Shaman's actually a strong pick here.
Yeah, they played against each other yesterday as well, actually, and Dzianydruid, he actually came out on top 3-0 with the Shaman, actually, so he might have a small edge, just like mentally wise, where he's already beaten Freakeh once this event, and I was talking a little bit with Freakeh just before, and he was hoping that he didn't bring Shaman. Not the case, though.
Was he the one who won versus Freakeh 3-0 with the Shaman?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I talked to Freakeh after he lost, and he was really upset overall. Losing to Shaman 3-0 is never good. The predictions, have you guys seen them? Like, they were really interesting, with Twitter being the reverse of the Twitch prediction.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. We see like Freakeh got like I think the good side of the Twitter, as we can see now, with the 75%, so overwhelming. But Freakeh's pretty popular guy on Twitter as well, so that definitely helps. 47. So I think Johnny's definitely got the Twitch behind him. But we've seen a lot of 50-50s in Twitch actually in these, and then Go-To Game is obviously giving Freakeh the sort of favor, purely I'm guessing based on past performance and achievements in general, just being more experienced I think overall.
Padre, a question for you. Rogue from Freakeh. So Freakeh is playing a lot of Rogue, and I always recall him bringing Rogue to tournaments. How good is Rogue at the moment in this metagame, and how good can Freakeh pilot it?
Like when we practiced beforehand, I always said that Rogue is probably one of, if not the best deck in the meta right now, just because there's so many Druids, so many Paladins, Patron, Zoo. Like on paper, it has pretty good matchups against all of those, but it's still a little bit inconsistent, which is why most players tend to go with those decks that you know what you're going to get. Like, it doesn't outdraw itself like Rogue can do sometimes.
Yeah, and it's something we've said before, isn't it, where people who bring Rogue bring it because, one, like you said, it's a good deck. Sometimes it can whiff a little bit, but people who bring Rogue are normally because they really like the deck and think they're good with it. So, it is reasonable for him to bring it into this tournament. I'll see how it turns out, but I think, like you mentioned earlier about, Freakeh just hoped he didn't bring Shaman and didn't do too much mind games, and they did. So this, I think Freakeh's probably not too happy about that, and understandably so, looking at the lineups.
Absolutely. The players are soon going to start, but that Shaman might be the demise of Freakeh again. It's really good versus Rogue. Versus Druid is surprisingly good. I would normally think it's favor just a bit, but sometimes the games are just a blowout.
Yeah, it really depends on the innervates from the Druid. If the Druid can get a board, it's actually really good against Shaman just because you have so many taunts for the Doomhammer. But sometimes when they just play 1-drop, 2-drop, 3, it's just like you can't do anything.
Absolutely. All right, so the first game is really important with regards to the mind games, which class they took. So who won the mind games here?
I think it's Freakeh, just personally. I really like Rogue versus Patron. It's become a little bit like people start playing really big minions in Patron now as well. Like Dr. Boom is one of those cards that really is a detriment to Rogue. So it goes both ways. It's a pretty close matchup, but
yeah, I think the tough one for the Warrior is, and we've said this about a few other matchups with Warrior, where it's not like you're definitely afraid of like a Blade Storm, right? So to just clear off the board, but you can't just not play Patrons, right? You know what I mean? I think you just have to commit to it. If they have it, they have it, and if they don't, fine. So it's definitely going to be a tough one, whereas the opening hands don't look too great. I think you always, as the Warrior, want the Fiery War Axe versus Rogue, because it just deals with like a lot of the low drops, the SI7 agent, the Far Series we can see, and so on.
Absolutely. I wonder also how much pressure is on those guys at the moment, because they're already guaranteed $500, but if they win, they will be guaranteed double the money, 1K plus 2 HCT points, and this can also matter if they qualify for the spring prelims or not.
Yeah, and it's also like we only get to play one game today, and you really we have one last day tomorrow. Like you want to have that. Oh, I'm gonna go home tonight. I have to practice. I have to think about my decks. Like have something to do tomorrow. So it's actually a really important game, I think.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the hands. Maybe Warrior first.
He has most of what you kind of need. He just drew the Fiery War Axe, which is going to be great against the first minions that Freakeh can throw out there. He has the Lotheb to maybe secure like one of those board states that can win him the game. But he hasn't really found his late game yet.
Yeah, I think it's looking okay. I like not coining out the Corsair this turn because there's just no real need to. If anything, you just offer something up for a backstab.
Yep.
So that's nice, just to quit the War Axe and be ready. And this might actually have a slight impact on how Freak is now going to play, because suddenly like Tempo Farsu doesn't look so great when there's a War Axe already there. But I like the Warrior's Hand, as you said, Powered, like Lotheb, almost just buying you a turn a lot of the times versus Rogue. The Fan of Knives there from Freak is pretty okay, because again, against Warrior, it doesn't really do too much.
What is Freaky looking for specifically? Is he looking for more spells to be able to have a big
preparation? This is one of those makes Rogue like actually really good. You kind of need, like, he needs to find a sprint in the next like 5 or 6 turns just to refill his hand after the beginning, like when he throws out his first minions. But he has most of what he wants. I think he has 2-3 minions. That's pretty perfect as a Rogue.
Yeah, I wouldn't even mind like the Thanos into like an Abyss now, maybe just to cycle the Thanos, because I don't think it's going to do too much at the moment, and because you've got the like the Blade Flurry and stuff to deal with the patrons later anyway, you don't normally need that additional spell power.
I think it's just going to make a pretty big Van Cleef. That's what I would say.
Oh, okay.
Like it's a big Van Cleef is an interesting card overall in this matchup, because if there's no execute, it's actually quite hard to deal with it.
Yeah,
and even if there's an execute, you need an activator. Activator being a weapon that's 6 damage to face.
And I like that he didn't go full out Van Cleef. Like he was still like wasting spells that he would have wasted anyways to kill the minion, and it still gets like a good pressure where he needs to execute this. So it was pretty nice.
Alright, and then from Dzianydruid, he actually has double Corsair if he wants to, and he has a really clean kill on this Edwin. He can either Inner Rage, but Inner Rage will be useful later for the patrons. So a weapon attack, I don't hate a weapon attack here.
Yeah, you might just weapon attack and just play his 2 Dread Corsairs. They do just die to that though, but I think I would just execute, just because your hand, if you start drawing bad cards now, you're never going to get value from your Battle Rage if you just throw out 2 Dread Corsairs here.
Well, you can throw Dread Corsairs and still execute.
Yeah, I think that would be okay. Yeah, he has the Lotheb to follow up and keeps hold of the coin that way. Is whether he wants, tank in the face damage is okay. Yeah, I think the Inner Rage is going to be much more useful later on, like you said, Nim. So
yeah,
I like this. This is good. Represent a lot of damage, and also if you look at this, it's like, oh well, Blade Flurry just deals with these. Like, what the hell? But then then there's one less Blade Flurry for patron turns. So
exactly.
It wouldn't be too bad for the Warrior whatsoever.
It also activated the Battle Rage to draw at least 1 card if you need it.
That was a pretty key pickup though, and you see the sprint there as well. Like he got the perfect 5-drop to play here. It sets up perfectly against both the Dread Corsair and the weapon, whereas he would have to sack both of them without any other, if he doesn't have like a Whirlwind or something. And it means just that he doesn't have to Abyss this. You kind of want to save that for something a little bit bigger.
Do you think it's worth trading here with the weapon, or just letting it go? Okay.
I don't think it matters that much. The weapon is always going to be useful later, and if you find a Blade Flurry, you might want to keep it.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough one though as well, because you could like wait for that Blade Flurry. Obviously it's easy now because of the sprint, but you could just wait for it and it never comes, and then you've just wasted turns where you could potentially be doing other things.
This is interesting.
So he blocked the spells, and he values having minions on board more, even though there is a deadly poison just waiting. So he assumes there is no no flurry.
Well, this buys him a turn anyway, because flurry couldn't happen regardless this turn because of the Lotheb effect.
Yeah, but for the next turn,
yeah.
Right?
I like this though, because I just like, I mean, look at his hand, right? Like, he doesn't have patrons or any of the weapons. I like, just go for it. Use what you've got, and then maybe hope there's some like light AoE, or the Lotheb survives to get a two card Battle Rage off.
Like when you play Lotheb in this spot, you're kind of guaranteed that your opponent is going to play a minion, and when you have a 5/5, that's like only Lotheb from Freakey's deck is going to be like big enough so that he can't attack with the Lotheb and then play both of his Battle Rages for 4 extra cards.
And if he draws something like a Whirlwind, even
more cards.
Yeah. So suddenly, the situation for Freakeh doesn't look that good. He is behind. He's losing tempo, and Dzianydruid is applying tempo pretty well.
Yeah, I think the sprint's going to be pretty key. If he can draw into prep next turn, that's going to be huge, because the Warrior, depending on what this draw is, okay, Patron. So the Warrior's going to potentially get 4 cards this turn, maximum, I think. But if the Rogue has the ability to keep up, right, with Sprint, but that Death Bite, that
Two
double
Death
Death
Bite.
Bite is actually
those
pretty
Death
huge.
Bites.
Like,
That's a
Death
lot
Bite
of
might
damage.
actually just lock out the game to a certain extent. Obviously, we're still quite early, but Death Bite is a huge card here.
There are some pretty good pickups you can find as Freakeh, but it's looking kind of grim.
Well, he has a Farseer. He might have a Sludge Belcher. Sometimes the Rogue plays one. Healbot, I doubt it.
It's like normally you play. That's a good card.
Yep.
Normally you play like either Healbot or maybe Belcher. He was talking about it before, like what he wanted to play, just because of the Shaman. Like Healbot is obviously a little bit better. I'm not sure which route he went with, but
Let's see. Well, he can play Thalnos, Eviscerate, SI.
I'm guessing that's what he's gonna do.
Yeah, I think if he wanted to squeeze the Farseer in there, it wouldn't have allowed him to actually clear the board. So I think he values clearing the board over the 3 health because he would take that 3 health damage anyway the following turn.
Oh, that's exactly what he was looking for.
Wow. Yeah, just clear the board and get the patrons. There is no
And
poison.
Battle Rage.
Yeah.
Oh my
And the coin.
god. What do you do with that coin?
Well, if you after Battle Rage, you might want to coin
think you
like
can
Whirlwind out or something.
Just flip it.
Yeah, just throw it away.
Just flip
It's
it.
like, hey, I had the coin.
The question is though, do you go face or do you clear the 3/3?
I think you do clear this. And hope that there is no clear. There was no flurry before, you know that. So right now there will have to be a flurry and also a weapon buff. You can even whirlwind, but it's probably not worth it here.
No, it's not worth it.
Yeah, I think next turn because he can belch a coin Death Spite, right? You know, if he needs to, if the game's not already over by then. Because he does have Cruel Taskmaster as well to buff one of those patrons for an extra some additional damage.
There is the
but
flurry, guys!
Flurry.
And there is a weapon buff as well. So just basically 4 damage to face and flurry. Right?
Yeah, I
puts
think
him
there's
at,
no
puts him
other
at
plan.
9 as well. So he's actually pretty close to dying. Like it seemed like Warriors had the just the only one that's done damage, but somehow he's at 9 here.
Yeah, I think the Warrior having to, like, those weapons have been really
Yeah.
strong, but consistently trade into minions, especially when the first one was a 6 attack Van Cleef, as you said, Powder, like, started to stack up. And the only good thing here for is that, you know, there is Belcher weapon, which is good, but also on the other hand, Freakey's got sprint, so then you can just sprint into, like, you know, damage to actually finish the game.
Yeah, but now there is the Death Bite.
And the second patron.
Or second patron overall, yeah, but this turn I think Sludge Belcher will be quite nice with the Death Bite.
I mean, you did just see like a Blade Flurry with a thing with a oil, so you could go Patron Cruel Taskmaster Whirlwind here.
Right.
Just set up a huge board, which most likely can't be dealt with 3 cards in hand.
True. And there is no weapon buff again. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
The thing about Sludge Belcher here is that Sap is a very good tool.
Yeah.
He could even go like Sprint Sap. Refills his hand, and then next turn you're kind of forced to go with patrons, and then he's had 4 extra cards where he could find the Blade
Or
Flurry.
5 with the additional card draw from the turn, so yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I mean, either way, you're either super vulnerable to Sap, which you've not seen any of now,
Yeah.
or you know, you play the patrons and just hope for another flurry. So I like this just because you've seen no Saps and you've seen board clears and weapon buffs already.
This shows up the understanding of the matchup fully. So Gianni knows exactly what to do, and I do agree with this as well. So.
Yeah, as the Rogue player, when you see this, you're obviously, I think you're a lot scared, like more scared of this than just like, oh, a Belcher.
Yeah.
Well, like if you count
Like
the power on board.
The only thing is that he could potentially die. Like he's only at 9, but he has seen 1 Abyss, 1 Blade Flurry with oil, and like,
Yeah.
he shouldn't be dead here like ever. Oh, this is a tough turn.
Can you survive this?
I think you just have to sprint.
You
I don't know what you're sprinting for, but I think you have to sprint.
I think you always die with sprint.
Like whatever happens.
Prep. You could find a prep. Like you can backstab Fan to get 1 less patron.
Double prep.
You could double prep.
Prep into prep.
Double
like with Abyss.
please.
Prep into coin.
I did
prep.
actually say that one on cast, I think.
Oh, really?
A long time ago.
Wow.
No,
I was just joking, Nimsh, but
I
5,
wanted
8. No, it's over.
I wanted to have like double prep and reduce the cost of a spell by 6.
no, that would just be silly, Nimsh.
I was young and I didn't know what I'm talking about. But Dzianydruid takes game number 1 versus Freakeh. Even though it was a good matchup for Freakeh, it's really well played by Dziany, and yeah, I really like that patron turn, because from my perspective, not having that much experience with the deck, just Sludge Belcher and Death Spite seems kind of strong, where you just put 4 more damage on your opponent. You have the Sludge Belcher, so you protect yourself, you apply damage at the same time. But the patron turn was just asserting the win if there is no 2-card combination.
Yeah,
sure. The patron draw straight after a clear is exactly what you want to see, especially because he could make it work. It wasn't like he summoned 2 patrons and just hoped. It's actually made a full board, well, 4 patrons with the Cruel Task and Whirlwind. So
yeah, it was actually looking pretty nice for Freakeh there in the beginning, but then a few nice top decks there from Dzianydruid, like the second Inner Rage for his first patron turn that allowed him to get 2 extra patrons.
Yeah.
And then the second patron just to finish out the game, just seal the deal.
Absolutely. And now we can see the good part for Freakeh, where he goes with the Edwin, but Double Corsair was also putting nice pressure from the very beginning on Freakeh from the Dzianydruid side.
Yeah, and looking at lineups as well, we talked a lot about Dzianydruid's Shaman, but look at Patron now. Patrons versus Druid or Warlock. I'm not sure which Warlock Freakeh is actually favouring at the moment.
I'm guessing it's Zoo, so it's a little bit worse. Like, if you had Reno here, it would actually look pretty well. That's a pretty good matchup for Reno. But I'm not sure how, I haven't played that much Zoo recently, especially not against Patron, but I think it's a pretty close matchup.
Yeah. I think it relies just on the weapons very heavily, like most matchups, to be fair. But if the Patron Warrior can get the weapons, it's really nice. But also it depends on what type of Zoo Freakeh is running as well.
Yeah,
whether he's running Sea Giants or whether he's running more sort of standard or previous
I still
versions.
think it favors Patron a bit. Like, it really obviously depending on the draws, it can be more flat. But just coming into this matchup, when you look at it, Patron has a lot of tools to deal with the Zoo board and just cut it.
If patrons go down on the board, I think it's just over there and then, unless it's lethal from the Zoo the turn after, because the patrons will always trade very well.
It's kind of the same as Paladin, just that Paladin has more 1/1, so it's a little bit better for patron. But it's the same when patrons come down. It's just so hard for Zoo to deal with them all and still build a board big enough that you can deal with the big stuff that comes out later.
Yeah, and most of the times, even when you deal with the board, it's you're still getting advantage. Let's say you have Acolyte of Pain. You clear some part of the board, you draw a card, or you have an Armor Smith, so you're gaining life. There's always something you can get if you get a normal hand, and you have this I win scenario. So I wonder what Freakeh will take here, Druid or Druid?
Yeah.
I think he went Druid here just because I think Zoo has a better matchup, and I think he thinks that too. But Druid also has pretty bad matchup against Shaman, and then it's the mirror. So if he can try to steal a win here, and then Zoo is his best deck against Shaman. It's his best deck against Druid.
Yeah.
So if Zoo he can 3-0 with Zoo later as well if he doesn't steal this win.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the thing as well is if he takes the win, there's a half-decent chance that not a lot of people want to queue the Druid mirror a lot of the time, but there's even a chance that Druid can perform, I think as you were saying earlier, versus Shaman. If they can pull out one that start bringing out the big taunts, it becomes a bit more difficult for the Shaman to win.
The big question is, how good is Druid versus Dzianydruid?
I mean, it should be pretty bad, right? If you have Druid in your name, there should be some karma with the class, I think.
Yeah, it's like you're a specialist.
Yeah, probably.
Well, I'm going to try and make a name with all the classes in there and be like, yeah, all the classes should be unfavored against me.
It's like Zetalot. If you change the letters in Zetalot, it actually...
it spells priest?
It spells priest, yeah.
In what language?
Arabic?
Maybe. We'll never know for sure.
Well, Fireworks is really good here versus that Aspirant, and that shuts down the ramp that Freakeh really needed. He has the Shade of Naxxramas, so that's something to start things off, but double Wrath and Savage Roar. So this matchup is good for Patron. Raven, can you tell us why?
Yeah, so, Druid's notorious for not being able to deal with multiple minions on the board of say, varying healths. And also the Death Spite from the Warrior deals with most of the threats the Druid are going to put out for quite a while. And even Ancient of Law, the second charge Death Spite kills it. It's just done. And also Warrior has Executes for anything that's too difficult to handle. So just the combination of the Warrior still having the ability to deal with big minions whilst pouring minions onto the board itself causes real headaches for Druid.
So Powder, what's the way, how can you win as a Druid?
The way you win is basically you have to curve out pretty nicely. You have to start dealing damage right away, and then you have some nice threats in the end, like Ancient of Law like we see here, just to find the last pieces that you really need to finish off your opponent. But when they do find that patron, it is really hard to come out with the win.
Yeah. I think one of the ways you can do it as well is be quite aggressive, because the patron warrior can't normally stack loads of armor like control warrior, so you just be aggressive and then make them like feel like they need to clear the board every turn, or you'll combo them down. So do usual druid things, I suppose.
Looking at the situation right now, Shade of the Extremis is one of those minions you want to have versus patron, because most of the time it's really hard to remove, and then you will be able to attack into one of the patrons at least. And cards like Wrath, they also can work, even Living Roots, to kill the 3/2 patron, Wrath killing the 3/3. So if there will be a patron outburst, Freakeh has ways to deal with it, but there are no patrons yet.
Yeah, this is a really interesting turn here for the warrior, because you kind of want to get those Despites live, especially because you have 2 of them in hand. But you know, you either just attack face with the weapon and then not with the Despite. But if you don't attack with the Despite, then you tell your opponent you don't have patrons next turn, because there's no reason why you wouldn't attack with the Despite instead. So it's kind of rough. He could just drop double Armor Smith, or even 1 Armor Smith armor up if you want to take it a bit slower. But there's definitely a few options here, and I'm not even quite sure what I like.
I think I would have gone with this as well, and you attack, just because you don't have it play next turn. It may tell your opponent that you have a Despite, but in many scenarios it doesn't really matter, just because Druid can only play a certain minion on a certain turn.
Yeah, it's not like he will not play Druid of the Claw because you just told him that you have Despite in hand.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is another like sort of wonky turn, I guess. I kind of want to see the Wrath for cycle, but it just doesn't really fit that well with what's on board.
Is it worth attacking those Armor Smiths early enough? They might be threatening. They actually can provide card draw passively. If there will be a Whirlwind into Battle Rage, that's a lot of cards that Patron is getting.
Yeah, and like we said before, like the way you win this matchup is to be aggressive.
Yeah.
And if you let 2 Armor Smiths live, and then a Belcher comes, or a Whirlwind, and just too much armor for you to deal with.
Exactly.
Eventually, those patrons are going to come, and you can't deal with it.
It's just pretty interesting about the Shade as well. Revealing the Shade, obviously, as you just said, you know, you want to remove those Armsmiths, but it does an interesting dual role where this looks like you might want to execute it if you don't have access to weapons, and then he has like Sylvanas to follow up with next turn, which then, you know, would make it a bit more awkward to deal with. But you know, Dzianydruid does have the Despite, so you can clear up that pretty easily. And now suddenly, you know, Sylvanas doesn't look that great either.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, she does represent 5 damage to face if you look at it,
and it does mean that you can't play patrons this turn.
Yeah.
You have to use your Despite that you've set up for patrons, potentially, to just clear the Sylvanas.
Exactly.
So it does maybe buy you 2 extra turns.
It's better than passing, right? You know, like, that's
sure.
the thing. Like, you still play it even though it kind of sucks.
For sure.
But the follow-up with the Belch was pretty nice. Almost certainly going to see the Ancient of Law come down this turn, as nothing else is quite as powerful. Get that card draw and maybe cycle into some more sort of impactful cards.
That might actually be a really important draw, the Big Game Hunter. If it ends up like Dzianydruid doesn't find any good minions, that Grommash might actually come out as a clear of like an Azure Drake or something like that.
Absolutely.
And then you'd have that answer.
The game is actually going quite slow, and this opens up, I think, another strategy for Druid, which is basically outvaluing the Warrior. Just when the Warrior plays Patrons, you kill them, then he again like plays Patrons, you kill them, and then at some point Warrior just runs out of threats.
Yeah, because even now you've got to look, although the Warrior's looking strong on board with the weapon and the Belcher, he's like being forced to just like attack into these minions, take quite a lot of damage. So suddenly if like Keeper of the Grove came down, silence the Belcher, and then, you know, you suddenly represent combo lethal pretty quickly. Especially now the Innovate's in hand with double Savage Draw.
Yeah, but you don't have anything else. Like, his hand is so clunky right now. Like, he needs... I mean, the Force here is obviously amazing, but I would be scared of playing this Shade right here.
Why is that specifically? Just
because all he needs is 1 extra Whirlwind.
Yeah.
If you're thinking that he has Patron, often it's going to be with, like... He's not going to play it just, like, with the Despite. He might have another Whirlwind in his deck, and then the Shade is pretty useless. So I would maybe like to see just passing here and then play Shade next turn and kind of go all in like, on the strat where this is his only taunt. Or he has Corsairs as well, but those are pretty easily dealt with. If now we've gotten rid of the Sludge Belcher, if I play Shade next turn, I can let it grow, then find Force of Nature. I'm not I'm not dying here.
Yep.
And then just go for that route.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Especially because you have double, double Savage Roar because of the Innovate, so...
But Freakeh decided that he wants to take his chances with the second Whirlwind not being there and trying to be a bit more aggressive. He has a lot of burst in hand with the double Savage Roar and Swipe and Living Boost even.
So he still wants to find Patron here. If he finds Patron, it's amazing. The Octoboom is pretty decent as well.
He's probably going to get another card draw as well, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Because you don't leave the Shade up, I don't think.
No, I don't. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But it seems like he is going to. Like, he might just be thinking because... Like, he's kind of like tunneling on Patrons maybe. And it's like, oh, I have the Inner Rage, but I don't have a Whirlwind if I use this one.
Yeah.
I've used both my Death Bites.
Yeah, that's true. Especially also after playing Unstable Ghoul. And Inner Rage can be used on Grommash, but if he gets the Patron next turn, he will be in an amazing position. And he's getting 2 draws at least.
That's actually a really good draw. You can clear the board here, I'm pretty sure.
So if you go... But
you have to lose your Shade,
you have to
right?
lose your Shade.
What's your opponent?
No, you don't actually. You don't have to lose your Shade. You can swipe the Boucher. You can Living Roots the Unstable Ghoul and Hero Power the one that's left, and then can't Innervate Loatheb though.
Yeah, but it's...
Yeah, that's the only issue. Like the
2
Innovate,
cards.
you really want to hold on to for the potential Force of Nature.
Yeah, but you don't have to play Innervate.
Yeah,
there's
true.
no point in playing Innervate now because you're most likely gonna Hero Power this, right?
The problem is like 2 cards for the Warrior and just giving him the value. Giving him the Patron, double Patron.
Yeah, but you have so much damage in hand. Like now you're on the route where you have to draw Force of Nature.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, you can build like 7 Patrons on the board, but that's all
like
he can do next turn.
What about just Druid of a Claw being drawn?
I actually like this.
Okay. Well, this stops the Patrons for
This
sure.
stops the Patrons for a turn.
Does double Savage Rod, like, is that lethal?
Well,
Yeah, I'm
Grommash,
pretty sure it's lethal.
Grommash can kill the Lothep, but that will be... Savage Roar will be only 4, so it's 8
It's
plus
9
4,
plus...
12.
Yeah, it's 9 plus 8. 17 damage.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
if Lothep dies, it's not enough.
yeah, but I don't think you ever play Grommash here. Well, I don't think I ever play Grommash over Dr. Boom here.
Yeah, because you want to maybe rely on the Boombots doing something against the Shade, or at least forcing the attack from the Shade.
Like, if you think about combo,
Yeah,
combo
okay, if
would
you
be
think
lethal
about combo,
anyway.
yeah, combo's lethal anyway if you play Grommash. That's why I don't like it. Like, you very rarely think about Savage Roar. But in this scenario, you might actually think about it, and then you play Grommash for
Wow,
sure.
such a read from Dzianydruid.
This is going to be a really good play if he clears this, yeah, and good heads up like you said. But this is exactly when the Druid draws Force of Nature anyway.
I mean,
Well, there is Big Game Hunter. Whoops.
Okay.
that's not the draw you want. But is Savage lethal anyways?
That's 4 damage, so 8, 12, 13 with Hero Power.
13 with Hero Power.
Pilot Shredder
Okay.
is not
So
it.
Shredder BGH though is a pretty okay
I
turn
think
here.
you attack with the Shade.
You might. You might.
I'm pretty sure you do.
Yeah, I think with double Force you just take the damage, right? Because double Whirlwind is still possible.
So are we going to see a clear with...
That's a good draw. But you can't play Patron, double Whirlwind, and Lotheb. That would have sealed the game, I think.
well, you can... Can you just enrage the Shredder and try to clear everything with this double Whirlwind?
You can actually go... I like Grim Patron, Whirlwind, Inner-Rage the 4-3.
Yeah.
You don't need the Inner-Rage on your Patron.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that seems like what he's going to do, I think.
And then we're going to have the joy of seeing what comes out of Shredder.
And he will still be able to armor up after all this.
Because it would have been lethal if the 4-3 stays on board, right? Because we counted 13 with the...
Well,
so it's
yeah,
it's exactly 13.
Exactly. Well, it can still be lethal if something like a pirate drops out of it, like a 4-1. Or what else is there?
Like this is like kind of scary too, because if this is Doomsayer, oh my god.
That's perfect for Gianni.
Yeah.
Well, there was something worse even. Something like Ancient Watcher, but
So
then
he
Ancient
needs
Watcher can be
Force of
silenced.
Nature, Keeper of the Grove.
Ancient Watcher was actually lethal. Or not really.
Wow.
No, it wasn't. It would be a bit off.
It would be one off because you couldn't hero power.
Yeah.
At least you can clear off one patron.
Do you clear 2?
No, you have to hero power face for combo next turn. Because he's on 13.
Yeah,
yeah. You
have
need to
you
top
have
deck
to hero
Force.
power face.
This is tough.
And we know that he can't top deck Force because he has Loatheb. He's going for Savage. Wow.
So if he goes for Saboteur, he'll be able to actually deal with the patrons more or less. Silence one. Oh, he's going for damage.
Ooh.
If he gets rid of the claw, would that be enough? That's 6 plus. Yeah, Druid of the Claw will be enough as well.
Yeah, so I think he's relying on the fact that the deeper into the deck, he's still missing Force of Nature, Druid of the Claws, and also that this almost forces the warrior to trade the patrons into the minions.
Taunt is nice.
Yeah, Loatheb and Taunts is basically sealing this
So is he
game.
going... He should think about this longer. He should think about this. I think you should have gone face. Because I don't think he has lethal next turn. No. Now he definitely doesn't have lethal next turn. 3, 8, 11, 14, 17. No. He should have gone face. Now Freakeh can still win.
Yeah, if he gets Force.
Yep. It will be at 10. So it's exactly lethal with Force next turn.
Yeah, I definitely like setting up 2-turn.
If
Yeah,
you would,
he should have thought about it a lot longer. If he did, I'm pretty sure he would have come to the same conclusion where he can't play any spells now. Why should I trade with a 2/4 that can't even kill my 3/3?
Especially when you've not seen Druid of the Claws, Force of Natures, you know, anyway, so you know
Well,
that
that-
each draw is definitely
Then you
a lot
just draw the
scary.
second taunt and
so 8,
get rewarded anyways.
10 life.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not enough to win with the combo here.
This is when you top the combo, just to make you cry even more.
Right? That's justice.
No,
Punishment?
It's not justice. Never justice. No, okay.
All right, just keep her. Well, that was really close
It was.
for Freakeh, but Dzianydruid again just thumbs up. What do you think about the inclusion of Corsairs now? Is it like also included in every patron deck?
I actually didn't. I played Patron today, brought it. I didn't play Corsairs in my list.
So what's the difference?
I'm not actually sure. I think they play like maybe one unstable ghoul. It's kind of, if you already have 2 more taunts, you don't really need that unstable ghoul. What else could it be?
It seems like it actually makes the matchup versus Druid even better. Because suddenly you have like 3 minions early if there is some ramp, and you have those combo stoppers.
Both yes and no, because against Druid you kind of want to draw into like, you really need to draw into your patrons and like your activators. And if you're stuck with Corsairs in your hand, like Weapon Corsair, like it's just a card that's kind of useless, where it doesn't trade very well with Druid minions, and on its own it's a 3/3. It's not that. Let's just get Wrath.
So mostly versus aggro then.
Yeah, it's mostly versus aggro, I think.
Yeah, I think with the amount of Paladin and Zoo we've seen over the weekend, it's just a good pick. Just another speed bump whilst comboing with a weapon. It's a pretty big swing actually, especially early on.
All right. So now Dzianydruid is down to his Shaman. Oh no, he actually continues playing Patron. This is the Conquest.
Yes. So Freakeh is down to his Warlock to reverse sweep were the words I was trying to get out there.
I did cast too many Conquest tournaments recently.
But I think we can probably all agree this is going to be a bit of an uphill climb with this Warlock deck. Definitely not undoable, but definitely going to be difficult.
Yeah, so Patron I feel is favored versus Zoo, as we discussed. Then Shaman. Yeah, what do you guys think about that matchup, Shaman versus Zoo?
I think it's very 50-50 where Zoo has good ways to deal with Shaman. Defender of Argus is one of the best ways to deal with Doomhammer. And you have early drops to like kind of deal with their early drops. So whoever gets the board has the advantage. And then Shaman kind of goes over the top where they have Doomhammer and so much burst. But if Freakeh can find some good early minions into like a good Argus turn.
Yeah, and even cards like Implosion as well. So you can just remove off something like the Trog or whatever, or like maybe even Feral Spirit or something like that, and then gain the 1/1s to then start trading. Because Shaman doesn't normally like trade away with minions. A lot of the time, it's difficult to trade that many 1/1s away.
True, yeah, and not life tap as much as well.
Yeah.
So like you stay at like around 20, and Shaman is basically losing the board at that point.
Yeah.
And then it's often like it comes down Shaman versus Zoo in my experience. Like, you have one turn where you set up lethal, and then like, which shaman often like, and then they play Loatheb, and then you're just out of the game because they're gonna kill you because Zoo always builds the board. In the end, Zoo is gonna overpower the board, and they're gonna deal so much damage over 2 turns with a Loatheb that you have no chance as a shaman.
Yeah, they just need time.
Because the shaman normally builds the board early, but then forgets about it because they want the burn later. And as you said, Loatheb does lock that down pretty hard. But we're going to start off with the Zoo versus the Warrior.
Yeah, he still has to beat this one first.
Absolutely.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves, guys.
All right, and this is, I think, matchup in favor of Patron because there are so many tools to deal with what Zoo can play. So let's talk about Freakey's hand first because he's after Mulligan already.
He has some decent ways to start off. It's not the heavy impact like Flame Imp, like doing all the damage like Knife Juggler, but they're pretty resilient creatures in his hand at least.
And 2 Dark Peddlers now is actually pretty huge.
Yeah.
Those extra potential Abusive Sergeants or Power of Whelmings or even some of the other cards, there's even a chance you can get that Pirate that knocks the weapon durability off.
Do you start with Hunter Creeper here just to play around Fireworks?
You could. I would probably start with Peddler.
Why?
Because you have to think, like, he kept 2 cards, so maybe not. It's like the chance of drawing Fairy War Axe is, what is it? Like, I can't remember the percentages, but it's like maybe if you full mulligan as going first, I think it's like 50-ish%. So half of the time he's gonna have it, but when he doesn't, this is just so much better against every other like 2-drop he's ever gonna play.
Okay, Undertaker.
This is not the best.
I mean, you have 2 Death Rattles.
Exactly, right?
Yeah, true, but I still think there's a few other cards you would have liked.
And you have a taunt to protect it as well.
We'll see.
All right, and Raven, what do you think about Warrior's hand?
I think it's pretty good, actually. So this is the same thing we've discussed a few times over this weekend so far, where just playing the Frothing Berserkers on their own, it's a threat that Zoo has to deal with. And then Zoo doesn't like doing that because I think Zoo just steamroll this match pretty quickly, or the Warrior's just going to get all the pieces to deal with. And when the Warrior's actually rocking Deathbite already, like it's going to be pretty good because that's one, Deathbite, Fire War Axe are the 2 early cards you definitely need. So I think it's looking pretty good. He can just go... could probably play Hammersmith. Maybe there's no point because of an Abusive, for example, just straight up kills it with the Peddler. But maybe Armor Up's fine, then you just go into Berserker, or Berserker, Deathbite, Berserker, and either way.
This does work out really well for Freakey though, just because he doesn't really have a good way to deal with the Armor Smith, and then now it's gonna come Frothing, and you actually have a super good way to deal with it.
Yeah, that power overwhelming was huge for Freakey. And now Janet doesn't have a choice, actually. He just needs to slam one of the Frothings.
Yep.
And hope.
Yeah, and this is the way that the Zoo does something in this matchup. Like, he's going to remove the Frothing, gain a 4/4. The Peddler's still on the board because of the lack of his Fire War Axe.
And he gets to play a taunt as well, which kind of ensures that your 4/4 is going to deal damage.
Protected. And the Undertaker as well.
Yeah, it's actually going to be pretty good here. It has two attacks, so it doesn't die to the Deathbite Whirlwind effect. And it gets protected. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, really nice board. So Deathbite will be almost useless.
Well, this is just, this is how good the small taunt is in this match, because like the Deathbite, instead of going that 4/4 and getting like full value, it's going to go into a 1/3. Yeah. If he chooses to play it, oh, that's nice. So now we can, I think that's just too good to not Deathbite into Corsair here.
Yeah, free taunt is nice, definitely.
Because there's potential now that the Corsair either kills the 2 low drops or puts the Spider to 1, which means your next attack, a Whirlwind effect, is going to kill the Spider anyway, unless like a Defender Argus comes down or something.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty awkward for Freakey to deal with that 3/3.
Yeah, but John just needs to think first, what will be the best option here? Is it really worth it playing the Deathbite, or is there anything else? Drawing with Slam?
I think you just struggle. Not anything else just puts you too far behind on the board. That's the problem.
I don't see a good play. Like, Berserker on its own is pretty useless. It trades really poorly with the Nerubian.
Yeah.
Slam doesn't really do anything. You can clear a 2/2. You can maybe slam the 1/3 to hope to draw Whirlwind in the next turns. But it's the same as basically playing Deathbite.
Yeah.
Like,
and the thing is as well, Deathbite Corsair now, and then into Belcher with your second attack of the weapon just seems so good. Like, you secure your board so hard.
He might be thinking he wants to do it next turn.
And just take the damage?
With the Sludge Belcher.
Okay.
Because Corsair is, it will be a bit like throwing away Corsair if there's something like abusive, right? Like we always have to think about it. And he wants to clear this board anyway. Maybe
or Argus. Argus would have been really good against the Corsair. We could have actually attacked him with the Rubian, put it to 2 HP. It would have been fine. But I think it's looking pretty decent for Freakeh. I mean, all the like kind of like mind games plays Johnny is kind of thinking of is working out in Freakey's favor, where he's not playing the cards that would have kind of been bad for him.
Yeah, it's like Freakeh just having a bad hand, and Freakey's like, dude, it's what I have, right?
Yeah.
And Johnny's like, oh man, he has everything.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like mind games in the both ways, and it's working out in Freakey's favor, and that's kind of what you need in, like, say, a 45% matchup.
Yeah.
Like, you need to go your way.
What do you guys favor in this this Discover here?
I think it has to be Argent Squire.
Yeah, especially there's one whirlwind, but what if there is a second whirlwind? But can he really do something with corruption?
But you're not gonna. Nah, it's just like then he just trades with the minion and.
Yeah.
I think against this deck, like corruption just doesn't get enough value when you can choose to build your board instead.
Exactly.
Second whirlwind will be quite
That's
nice.
Second whirlwind would be
Undertaker though,
amazing.
guys. That's crazy.
not the second whirlwind.
Do we slam the spider to get the second whirlwind?
You don't get a draw off the spider.
Not the Hunter Creeper.
Oh,
the 4/4.
the Nerubian?
Yeah.
I guess, but then you need to then you're only playing Berserker this turn, and you need to Inner Rage. Like if you don't hit, you need to Inner Rage the Nerubian, which is not really what you want to do. I mean, if I'm Freakeh here, I'm super scared of patrons, and I'm gonna be super satisfied when a Belcher comes out or whatever he decides to play.
Yeah, this is really tough, just because, as you said, like the missing the second whirlwind. Like if you had the second whirlwind, that would be insane.
Yeah, and now Corsair is actually gonna be so much worse because the 2/1s are gonna be able to trade into it super effectively.
Yeah, but he can Corsair, then attack into the 4/4, then play Belcher and kill the Undertaker with Inner Rage as well.
Ooh, he's not playing Belcher. He might be thinking
He's playing
he
Frothing
wants.
as well.
I don't think he's gonna attack this turn. Oh, he is gonna attack.
Oh, that's kind of interesting.
So getting some life back, killing the biggest minions, and providing himself with a Frothing with body on board.
Okay. He's like, this is actually pretty funny because he's playing into exactly what Freakeh has in his hand. Like by doing the plays he's making, it's.
What is he playing around though? The cards that Freakeh doesn't have in his hand.
Yeah, basically. I don't know. It's just working out this way where he doesn't play.
Yeah, I think he's just gone to actually just put as much on the board as possible and hope that's enough. The low roll sucks.
Never lucky.
That hurts so much because now he will get another armor from the pirate.
Yeah. And he has to trade in this creeper.
And if there's a whirlwind top deck suddenly.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Misclicks and the Argent Squire goes on the board instead. No.
That actually saved so much damage there as well. So Dzianydruid is back to 20. And this board is not that impressive.
No, but there are a lot of good top decks you can find. I'm pretty sure that Freakeh is playing the Demon version, so I don't think he's playing Sea Giants, which would have been an amazing top deck here. He has 5 cards on the board. Doomguard. That's one.
Yeah, that's a card you have to play.
You definitely play it.
Yeah.
Because you cannot really trade your board into the 3/5.
I would trade 1/1s.
Yeah, same. But this creates some space on board. Maybe.
Yeah, that Doomguard was actually huge because that's just representing the actual threat now instead of a board that's super weak to Whirlwind. I was about to say just as it comes out.
He found it.
Yeah,
so that's actually pretty crazy. You can actually clear everything except the Squire.
Yeah.
Which is probably not too.
But the Whirlwind is the execute is actually pretty bad though.
For now, but
for now, yes.
You might keep it for a second Doomguard, possibly. Well, he can clear his board fully.
He could actually just execute here, like with his hand. Like he's gonna play Whirlwind Inner Rage. Let's say, like it puts you so far behind. Like this is only 5 damage.
Yeah, and if you get the patron.
If you get patron, you win the game.
Yeah.
But it's kind of risky though.
Defender of Argus.
That's not what you want.
Oh man, Implosion is a
Implosion
blank.
your own minion. Fill the board.
Yeah.
Defender Vargas.
That's the card.
Yeah.
You definitely do the.
Yeah. Yeah, this is actually.
It plays a
huge
little
now.
bit less around Whirlwind, but it's pretty huge.
Patron is still good though.
Yeah, Patron's still really good.
Gromash.
Nah.
Are you forced to play Gromash here?
2, 4, 5, 6, 7. He would be 4 off lethal. Gromash doesn't really do that much. I mean, Gromash actually clears basically the same amount, but 3 less.
Yeah. It's
If you inner rage, and then you're banking on him, hoping he's top decking bad cards, and then you Gromash something next turn.
yeah, it's
but
really
no,
interesting. But
yeah.
did you like the decision of keeping Whirlwind? You did like it, right? For a possible Patron?
I'm not sure. I would have to think about it a lot more, I think.
Sure.
Yeah, and this is where we see the power of Zoo late game, where it's just like, I'm just going to tap every turn, because he took literally no damage from the warrior yet.
Like, he wouldn't have gotten as punished if he didn't draw Argus. But we saw that he did. Oh, there's the
Yeah,
reach.
one card off.
Yeah.
One card off. Could decide a game.
But it's a shake of the head there from Dzianydruid, so that's it's a little bit rough for him. Yeah, he's still going to play this out, of course, but that's
He's not dead yet,
looking
so
rough.
That's 6 plus 2.
it's 1 off.
1 off. Not really.
You just play it all, right? Well, you don't necessarily need implosion.
Well, you go face, definitely, right?
You definitely
I
go
think-
face.
Do you just Argus up the 2 minions on the left?
You didn't even need to play the Flame Imp. Or do you? Like,
Yeah,
you
I don't know why you would Argus the 4 or 5.
Yeah, I would have just put it on the 2 on the left, I think.
Then I guess you could execute. I don't know. That's not gonna do it.
So this means that the Zoo actually made it. It was close though. It was again
Yeah,
closer than
crazy
you think.
game.
Crazy game.
And really good decisions by both players.
Yeah, he played. I think Dzianydruid played it into his outs there. He kept the Whirlwind, just like if I draw Patron.
Yeah.
I think this is the only way I win this game. Like the Warlock has hero power. He can overflood the board again. Like he's always gonna have more cards than I do. So.
And even though we saw the Patron like the turn after, I think it was one of those things where if I wait one more turn,
Yeah,
then
you
I'm probably
can't.
just going to
Yeah,
die
you're
anyway.
gonna
So
die.
it wasn't like a misplay to them Whirlwind.
Yeah, for
it was
sure.
just it didn't work out quite as well as he would have
And
wanted.
Freakeh had really good responses to what Gianni was playing in the very beginning. There would be like power overwhelming into that Throttling Berserker. We can see those turns. And Undertaker, guys, he
Yeah,
did show up.
It just worked. It just like worked out in the way where Dzianydruid kind of played around cards where he didn't have them, and in the end, I think it costed him the game. Like if he played Armorsmith on 2, Freakeh would have had to trade it in with his 2 Dark Predators, which would have died to this Whirlwind right here. That's 4 less damage, or even more. I don't know when they died. So it's just like it worked out in a way where Dzianydruid kind of mind games himself, playing around some cards where he didn't really have to.
Yeah.
And Freakeh didn't have those cards.
So he was basically too passive.
Exactly. I think he was thinking a little bit too much, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, he should have maybe just played, took the approach of just a standard game where you would just think, well, yeah, I'm just going to drop Armorsmith because why not?
Because I can.
Why
it's
not?
better than armor up,
Yeah.
more likely.
Yeah. It's interesting because Dzianydruid had an advantage coming into this match. So he was with a 2-0 score, and where people are winning, they tend to be more aggressive and just throwing the decks, trying those risky plays. Where because you still have 2 more decks to win, and it seems like Dzianydruid reverted to this super defensive standpoint.
I think it can go both ways, depending on what mindset you're in. Like, I think when you're up 2-0 in a really important game, you might be like, oh, I need to win this game. I need, and then you play super passive just because, like, oh, he can have this, and you're, like, thinking way too much of...
Yeah.
But we have no idea what he was thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
There might be very valid points in why he thought the way he did, so...
Okay, and Jan is taking this Shaman that Freakeh was afraid of. And this is the version, I believe, that Chucky played with Flametongue Totem, Dr. Boom. What are the other differences?
1 Doomhammer, if it's the exact list as
Okay.
well, which is an interesting one.
1 Doomhammer.
Yeah.
What did he
That
cast?
seems strange to me.
If I'm honest, because the games are so quick, I didn't see enough of the deck. I didn't actually see the deck list, but I just know bits. But yeah, I mean...
Flame Jugglers, are they still in the list?
Don't think... no, I don't think I saw Flame Jugglers. Oh, they might have been in the list instead of Knife Jugglers.
Yeah, I think most people play Flame
Yeah.
Jugglers. I actually like loot hoarders right now, just to get one card closer to that Doomhammer.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, there's a Doomhammer.
It's pretty important, especially if you only play one. It's super important to find it.
But the only like negative part of this Shaman hand now is, although he's got the turn 1 play and he's got the Doomhammer, you don't really want those spells. You don't care about the spells early on. You want the minions and then to finish with the spells. So.
He needs a good follow up. Like loot hoarder into loot hoarder is gonna be really bad against what Freakeh has. It is a lot of damage though.
It's actually Leper Gnome.
Leper Gnome. I was.
You're loving those loot hoarders a lot. Like.
Yeah.
But Freakeh has a good hand overall. I think he has amazing hand versus this kind of Shaman deck.
Sure.
And like, I mean, look at this as well. Like, there's the Argus, which is going to be huge later on. But also, if a Void Caller comes out and doesn't get Earth Shocked, then there's Mal'Ganis. And like, the second you force the Shaman to use Burst or minions into other minions and not face, you just progressively feel more and more safe as the turns go.
He finds the taunt.
My God. That was
the taunt.
That was really good for Dzianydruid.
That's also a good draw though.
With a second Creeper as well.
Yeah. So now you just play Creeper and then like you're totally fine with this now. Yeah. Like you might be a little bit like, oh, he got the taunt, blah blah blah, but
yeah, but this means that those Leper Gnomes, like the first Leper Gnome deals overall 6 damage for 1 mana.
Yep.
And the second Leper Gnome is again 2 damage.
Yeah, and he has a lot of burst in his hand.
Heal Totem.
Oh, he's gonna go Totem. I thought he would definitely go with the Flame Tongue Totem.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pass up guaranteed damage from the Flame Tongue Totem, right? Like you instantly getting like +4 damage.
In my mind, like this board is gonna die next turn, so I would want the Flame Tongue Totem to have even a bigger target for, like, just to have something, and then. Yeah. I don't think I'm ever gonna get value out of the Flame Tongue Totem.
Yeah, and it's like potentially heal for 3 as well, because it needs to die. Like, you know, the Zoo probably can't just leave that card up, like, because it just provides so much damage over time.
Oh yeah, definitely. And the chance of getting a Heal Totem wasn't that big. The Heal Totem doesn't do much on board, and you do expect Zoo to have buffs.
And bear in mind, he needs to push damage now because he has Doomhammer, he has 2 Lightning Bolts, Lava Burst, like he has the answers late game, and if you can push him to around 15 health, you can just burst him down over a couple more turns.
He's going to be at 16 before he can taunt. Like, I definitely think you go Knife Juggler here. It's more likely to clear the board. I don't think you care about the Flame Tongue Totem that much. You just want to kill the Leper Gnomes.
Yeah, you need to hit the Leper Gnomes.
The Knife Juggler cares about the Flame Tongue Totem.
I guess.
Can he clear this board with those juggles?
He has to clear them. Like, if 2 goes face here, it's super bad for him.
1 goes face, 2nd goes to the totem, so this Leper Gnome is actually alive.
It's 2 extra damage.
Yeah. And now, it might be actually more.
It actually might matter.
Do you trade this? I guess you can kill the Knife Juggler, but you don't have to really. 6 to face, and your opponent is actually at 12 after Leper Gnome dies.
Yeah, I kind of like going face because the problem is there's so many minions on the board, and the 1/1 can, you can only get rid of 1/1 here if he chooses to. So there's so many low attack minions on the board, and the Shaman's still on 29 health. Yeah. So like, and you have Lava Burst, Lightning Bolt in hand, so that's gonna be pretty good.
Just on its own, like 1 damage off.
Yeah.
Guys, think about how Freakeh feels right now.
That's a really good draw. He needs to kill him really quickly.
Yeah. As fast as possible.
Pro tips from Powder.
Pro tips. Kill your opponent quickly.
And he wanted to hit...
it doesn't matter. It's the same damage.
It kind of matters in a way that you actually will not be able to attack the spider twice.
Yeah, last turn.
So you're losing damage.
Yeah. I would have thought about this turn a little bit more as well.
8, 10, 14. If he finds a 2nd Power Overwhelming, he can win, right?
Well, is he not going to just double Lightning Bolt those minions?
No, I mean like from Freakeh. Freakeh, if he draws into Power Overwhelming, he'll have +10 damage.
If he found Hunter Hero Power here, it would have been for sure lethal. Now, I actually think Freakeh wins this game 100% now.
Fire Blast, if he takes Fire Blast, he wins.
Oh, Fire Blast is the same. 5, 8, 11. Yeah.
Yeah, but so if he
just needed 1 damage.
Yes, and Fire Blast basically deals that damage.
And he has enough, right, next turn? It's 5 mana, he has 6 mana next turn.
That's right, but there is still a Lothep for Freakeh as a possibility, or a 2nd Power Overwhelming should be enough as well. That will be 10 plus... now he doesn't have enough. Or does he?
No, he's 1 off.
Next turn, if he goes
he's 1
for
off
the taunt?
turn. He's definitely taunting next turn.
Yeah, because there's a 2nd Different of Argus, but like he fought, like in Dzianydruid's had you're not expecting second. You hope there is no defender.
Yeah, and you kind of like, oh, I'm playing around like so I don't die. Dark Peddler is a really good draw as well.
He can get the second PO.
Yeah, especially because he can combine it with Argus still, so
Yeah.
he can actually get both out because he doesn't need to PO this turn, so he can wait. And the odds that these, at least one or two of these minions are going to survive is pretty high.
Oh man, you got both of them.
Dark Peddler's good, guys.
I guess you go Soulfire.
This is so close. So a taunt, and now
Do you taunt those? I think you have to count.
biggest targets,
3.
I guess.
I mean, does it matter? It's a 1/3.
It still requires hits, right? Like if
Yeah,
you're
it
thinking about
still
Doomhammer, the
requires-
Doomhammer's still going to hit whatever, so the
Yeah.
health doesn't really matter that much.
Johnny can still draw something to win this game.
He trades.
He's not overloaded, right?
He's
He
overloaded
is
for one, he lightning bolted, so he's on 5 now.
So Rockbiter is
Rockbite?
not. It is.
No, it's not.
No, it isn't. He doesn't have mana. He
No.
can't ping
He
Lava
has
Burst.
he has 5 mana.
He
Lava
can't ping Lava Burst and Rockbiter.
No, he doesn't have to ping. Lava burst into the 3/4, lightning bolt into the 2/1, rock biter into the face.
That's true.
That'll work.
Lava Burst.
Yeah.
No, he needs the mana for ping. He can't do
No.
Lava. Oh.
No, he can. He just Lava Burst to 3/4.
He finds
Oh,
it.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
5,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, he can
We
also
well overthought
attack
that.
into the 3/4. It just doesn't matter.
Well,
It's
yeah,
basically the
yeah,
same
sure.
situation.
Uh,
Oh man, so
Wow.
Dzianydruid finds lethal here and
With-
goes to the top 8.
There's a
Being
fist
Freakeh.
pump. With the Shaman deck as well, I mean,
That was the deck that Freakeh was afraid of, and that was the deck that won the match. But again, they were so close.
so close.
yeah.
It comes down to that one turn he needs to kill him, and then like that's so often with Shaman. That's why I don't really like to play it. It's like so often you get shut down from that last turn. Like I have him, and then no.
Yeah, it's really frustrating because when you win sometimes, like it's so easy that you don't feel achieved. Like, hey, I won.
I actually think that was the only draw he could have found. He didn't have like
Yeah, he needed that much extra damage from
he
one
could have
mana.
found Crackle, and then Crackle would have had to hit for 5 to
Earthshock
face.
also won the game. Would win the game because you attack into the 2/1 with the weapon. And
Earthshock,
then you
Earthshock,
have-
3/4,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So there was a couple.
So there was like a couple of outs
But the
there.
scary thing is with the Shaman deck as well, like the odds on them drawing like more burst
Yeah,
is like
it's
it's
super
so
high.
high. It's so
Absolutely. We have Janet with us. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So how does it feel? You're in the top 8 right now.
Yeah, it feels great for me being in this event, and right now I'm in top 8, so it's amazing.
So did you figure out the lethal instantly when you got the rock biter, or did you have had to think about it?
First, I was like, there must be a lethal, but first I wanted to find some safe way to like remove his minions and then set up lethal next turn, and then I started looking for lethal if I have this turn because it was rock biter, lightning bolt, lava burst. There must be any lethal from my hand.
Okay, and also when you played Warrior versus the Zoo, we had some doubts because you didn't play Armor Smith, and then you played like super safe. You didn't play Belcher till really late turn. What was your thought process going into that match?
I didn't play Armor Smith because I was scared of Abusive Sergeant and losing Armor Smith for free, and I think I shouldn't go face with weapon turn 4 because it blocked my Belcher turn 5, and the biggest misplay was when I used Execute on Dome Guard instead of Whirlwind in a rage and clear almost wall board.
Why was it a misplay? Like you were waiting for Patron to come so that you can actually Patron Whirlwind in rage, right?
Yes, but I think if I cleared his board, I had a bit bigger chance to win.
Okay. Guys, do you have any questions for Janet?
Yeah, I mean, so how did you? Is this the same lineup you took yesterday of decks, or did you
yes,
change?
yes,
Oh, it's
I didn't
exactly the
change
same.
anything.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, just cool to see how different people approach the whole like. Well, you can change all of your decks if you like.
I
but,
changed all of my decks.
yeah, exactly, and it worked out for you, and it like sitting on
I
your
was
decks worked
thinking
out
about
well.
changing my decks, but I played yesterday against Freakeh. I was like, maybe he will be thinking that I changed something, and he changed his lineup, so I will just keep mine. If it did really well yesterday, so.
All those mind games.
Yeah, that's a good night. That's a surprise. Like, hi, I surprised you because I haven't changed anything in my lineup.
I surprised you by not being surprising.
Exactly. So, Janet, this is your second big event, right? You've been in the Seed Story Cup as well. How do you enjoy the event?
For me, it's great meeting all these players. here. Some of them I know before, but most of them I didn't know. Only sometimes meet on ladders. So it's really amazing for me.
All right. So no more questions for Jan and from you guys. Pater, you good?
I'm good.
All right. So thank you so much and congratulations again. You can chill today, or rather watch the other matches to prepare for your next opponent for tomorrow. You can change the decks again, but after that you will not be able to change anymore. So tomorrow, one set of decks.
Is that actually the rule set?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So
I think you can't. I think you can change every round.
No, I thought like
no,
you can only every day.
Top
Oh,
8
every
it's
day.
set.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Pater, learn something
Yeah,
new on the
I learned
That was
something.
good to know.
I learned something.
Tell it to the other players.
Yeah.
They know as well. All right, so it's exactly this is how you know you did the rule set. But that will be it for this round. So Freakeh is eliminated, but he got $500, so it's something. And this is another good top 16 for him. Another great performance. And obviously, he qualified for this event, so a big achievement. And Dzianydruid still in the tournament, fighting to get that first spot. But this will be it for this match. We have still how many matches? Three more matches.
Three more matches.
3 more matches and a show match for you guys. So a lot more Hearthstone coming forward. But for this moment, this will be it. So thanks so much for watching. For this very moment, we're now going into a short break, and we'll be back with more Hearthstone after.